Hi class, for this week I am really just going to focus on your Dropbox assignment, Module 3, Assignment 2. This is your first large assignment. It's worth 200 points, which is quite a large amount considering your final grade. So I'm going to walk you through an announcement that is already on the course home called Tips for Module 3 Paper. I had this pop up last week, or actually a couple weeks now, just to give you guys time to really work on this paper because it is worth a large part of your grade. So for this assignment, you're going to be focusing on Juanita's World, which you have been reading all along. If you have not been reading Juanita's World, you need to go back and probably read it a couple times to get a firm grasp of the situation. Your entire paper should be very specific to Juanita's situation and keeping in mind everything that we know about the situation to this point. In your paper, I'm expecting it to be about 5 to 7 pages. If it's less than 5 to 7 pages, that probably tells me that you haven't explained one or more sections in enough detail. So that really, the page numbers are just there to give you an idea of how much detail you should have. The first thing you should include in your paper after your introduction, always include an introduction to your paper, make it interesting, grab the reader's attention, make sure you include a topic sentence that gives the reader an idea of what the paper is about. You shouldn't just jump right into the content of the paper at any time. You should always have an introduction. So after your introduction, you need to evaluate the cultural issues that need to be addressed. And I've kind of given you some ideas of what you need to look at here. By cultural issues, we're talking about things related to diversity. So this could include things like necessary laws, affirmative action plans, diversity training, ways to prevent discrimination, how do you get a diverse team to work well together, anything that you think Juanita will have to deal with. Secondly, you need to analyze the ethical considerations that apply. This is a nonprofit organization. There's a lot of volunteers that are working here. So you might consider treatment of volunteers or issues with trusting people not to steal from the company. You have to trust volunteers to do things within your organization. So how do you give them the proper training in order to be trustworthy? With a nonprofit comes a lot of legal issues. So making sure that the money that they're receiving from state or federal avenues is properly used and handled. Next, we describe the organization's current hiring needs and projected hiring needs for the future. Again, it should be very specific to what you have read from Juanita's World. How many people do they currently employ? And then what you think they might need in the future is up to you. Do they need more volunteers? Do they need more drivers? Do they need more people in HR? And why do you think those things? Maybe look into some research on nonprofit organizations and staffing specifically. Is there higher turnover there? Are there always a large amount of volunteers available, or are more people likely to volunteer, say, in December around Christmas time? You need to kind of predict the trends of what's going to happen. Next, you need to develop a recruitment plan. And recruitment is different from selection. This is a very important point. This is where people struggle with this question the most. Selection involves looking at applications, conducting interviews, providing other tests. That's selection. Recruitment is everything that you need to do to find people that even want to apply to work for your company. So this is before someone even fills out an application. That's what recruitment is. How much money do you have to spend on recruitment? Where do you find people? How do you do it? That's recruitment. Explain the plan the company should follow to manage employee performance. Another way of saying this, how will the company make sure employees are doing their jobs? If an employee isn't doing well, how will they handle the situation? So are we going to do a more informal feedback environment, or do just regular formal performance appraisals? And if someone is not doing well, if they get negative feedback, what do you do about it? Send them to more training, fire them? How do you manage employee performance in a nonprofit if you are Juanita? Next, you need to identify at least 4 laws or regulations that apply to the company. These should be 4 specific laws. You can choose to focus on laws specifically that pertain to nonprofits, or you can focus on more broad-reaching laws such as the ADA, the ADEA, the Civil Rights Act. So you need to identify these, explain what they are a little bit. A second section that's also worth 20 points is to explain the actions Juanita's company has to take to ensure that they are conforming to the requirements of these laws. So basically, what will Juanita do to make sure the laws are being followed? And then finally, you need to provide a recommendation for the organization on how they can motivate employees. Here, I want you to focus on some specific motivational theories. Goal setting theory, incentive theory, things that we talked about in discussion this week and even last week. Make sure that you're using 3 references to justify all of your responses. Make sure they are scientific resources. Wikipedia is not scientific. Website should end in .org.gov.edu. If you're having trouble finding resources, let me know and I can help you. If you have any other questions, feel free to let me know. This paper is due on Wednesday by midnight.